Alright, so another question. If you see a person with a hearing aid, can it be assumed that they can clearly comprehend all speech? Yes or no? How many of you think this is true? About 6? And false? Again, we're on about half. About 6 of you say it's false, and 4 of you are still unsure. The answer is no, not always. If a person has a hearing aid, that does not guarantee they will be able to hear everything. And just a moment, I have to check my notes. Okay, so now we are going to apply the questions to the 3 basic groups of the hearing loss population. I mentioned at the beginning there is fully deaf, hard of hearing, and late deafened. And the late deafened is actually a group of people that has been recently categorized. But now we're going to take the questions and apply them to these 3 groups, so the basics of all of the groups. So the first group is deaf. They have a strong cultural identity. Most of the people who associate themselves with deaf culture are from deaf institutes. They have learned ASL. And generally the cause of deafness varies quite a lot. It could be disease, it could be ear infections, it could be hereditary, and there are some unknown cases of deafness too. So the next group are those who are hard of hearing. This group has a bit of intergroup diversity. There are some who are hard of hearing, they use hearing aids but still identify themselves strongly with deaf culture. They use ASL and they're very fluent in sign language. But there are others who are hard of hearing that may have hearing aids but prefer to identify themselves with using English. They don't sign a lot. For both of these subcategories of the hard of hearing population, again, the causes are pretty similar to those who are deaf. There's German measles, ear infections, genetics, and some hard of hearing population, they were hearing until they were 1 or 2, and then they lost their hearing. So again, it varies. The third category of people with hearing loss are the late deafened. Obviously, by its name, this refers to people who were born and grew up hearing and then lost their hearing at a later time in their life, usually due to an accident or some sudden sickness or unknown reasons. Deafness in this category tends to be the most traumatic. For deaf people and hard of hearing people, they've grown up with it and they're used to it, but for this group of people, it usually comes as a shock.